Welcome. Good evening. It's Monday, December 3rd, 2012. It's the Milford Board of Selectmen. Before we get started with the regular agenda, I'd like to take a moment to pause. We lost a very esteemed, former citizen of the town, Dr. Joseph Murray, my uncle. I was privileged to be his nephew. I was honored to get to know him. His medical accomplishments have been widely reported, and through it all, he made a tremendous difference on a number of people throughout the world with the work that he did. And regardless of who he spoke to, he always spoke very highly about Milford and credited his success on the foundation of the education that he received in the Milford school system and also the upbringing that he had in this town. So before we get started, I'd like to just observe a brief moment of silence in his honor. Thank you. The first item that we have is the signing of the warrant.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. We have meeting minutes for November 19th, 2012.
Motion, Bryant.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? That too is unanimous. Citizen participation. Is there anyone here not on the agenda who would like to address the board? Hearing no comment, we will move on. And the first item that we have is a public hearing, and it's a joint meeting with the Milford Board of Library Trustees. Gentlemen, welcome. Good to see you again. Just a little while ago that we were here, and we're here this evening to fill another vacancy on the Board of Library Trustees. Vic Valenti has offered his resignation, so with that, as you are aware, we have a quorum of your board, and we have the full membership of our board, and I'll entertain a motion to fill that vacancy.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for Kate Mastriani.
Okay, is there
Chairman, I'll second.
motion made and seconded? Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I'll take a vote. All in favor? I guess we'll do a roll call vote.
Aye,
Dean?
Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Bill? John?
Aye.
Rory?
Aye.
Giancarlo?
Aye.
I too vote in the affirmative, so it is a unanimous vote in favor for Kate Mastriani to fill that position. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Concludes our business. There she is. Oh, very good. Congratulations. Okay,
Thank you very much.
good to see you.
And have a very Merry Christmas.
Have a good
and Happy
Christmas.
New Year.
Yeah, good to see you.
Take care, John.
Good job.
Welcome. Welcome to the board.
The next item that we have is a presentation from our town council. There's a very important public hearing coming up next Wednesday, the 12th, with the Department of Public Utilities. It'll be held here in Milford, and it's concerning a proposed rate hike by the Milford Water Company. So we've asked town council to come and give us an overview as to what the issues are and what people might expect to see at that public hearing.
The handheld
Jerry?
mic. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Heating up is our little electronic PowerPoint presentation. Only about 6 slides, but the purpose is to show to yourselves and to the public what some of the impacts from this proposed rate increase are going to be. And the first slide is very, very simple. What we talk about in rate-setting proceedings is a revenue deficiency. The water company tries to establish what they call a revenue deficiency. Ultimately, it's a sum of money that represents what they need to operate over and above what they would get under a theoretical model under their current rates. And as you can see, the revenue deficiency they're asserting in this case that they need is $3,817,870. That is the 82.7% increase that they seek. Just for contrast, you'll see the revenue deficiency that they were allowed in the last rate case, which as you recall, is still less than 2 years ago. And that was $1,179,000, and that was itself a 33% increase. So what you're faced with, what the ratepayers have been faced with, is a 33% increase less than 2 years later, seeking an 82.7% increase. Realistically, when the case resolves itself after rather lengthy litigation, it'll be about 2 years, but that's likely to go into effect March, April of next year, whatever rate increase they finally achieve. See if I can do this. Just to show some of the effects here, in this case, upon Milford Town government, the first part of the slide, you show the school department. Fiscal 12, they spent $25,229. If this rate increase went forward, they'd be spending $46,093, or a $20,000 plus increase just for the school department water costs, which is no small impact on their budget. General government, of course, all the costs, Mr. Solazzi put all the accounts together. The police, the fire, all the general government accounts, we spent in the fiscal 12, $49,000 plus. You'll see with this increase, it'll be $90,000 plus, $40,000, or, a basic town employee lost in that sense right there. Most significantly, hydrant service. A lot of people don't understand how hydrants work. We pay a sum each year for each hydrant. It really works out to almost a fixed fee every year. In fiscal 12, it was $500,000 plus. With this 82% increase, it rises almost to $1 million. An increase, just the increase of almost $500,000. So this is obviously, as you well know, a very, very substantial increase just in its effects on town government. If it went forward as they proposed, it would be $500,000. I gave you a little contrast there to how it might line up with new growth, fiscal year 13 new growth. Additional amounts we can raise to use for municipal purposes would almost be, wiped out by that amount if that went forward in that way. So those are the effects, very clear, unequivocal effects on Milford Town government, on the taxpayers in this case. But the taxpayers are also the ratepayers, and aside from having to cover it through the tax rate, they're also obviously on their tax bills. And by the Milford Water Company's own estimates in their presentation to the DPU and in the documentation which you've seen, the average residential bill will actually increase by 83.4%, and they break it down to 21, whatever their average is, and I don't really know how they arrive at that yet, but $21.49 per week and $257 per year for what they call the average. That's just the increase.
So that's on top of what they
It's on
would
top
already
of what
pay.
they're paying now,
What they're
correct,
paying now.
correct.
So another $257. Okay.
And just for contrast, I looked at a couple of bills. This is from an actual bill of a representative, I call it a low-use family of 3 with 2 adults and a teenager. And their actual fiscal year 12 costs were low, $265. But you see, under the proposed rates, they go up to $486, an increase of $221 a year. Now, that's a family that's probably using less water than many others. Another one to look at is more a typical family of 5. In their current fiscal 12, they spent almost $1,000 in terms of water. You'll see what happens under the proposed rates. Go up to almost, $1,700 plus, an increase of $815 per year, which is, an incredible increase, frankly. And that's, you can look at everybody's bill, and it's fairly easy to figure out what's going to happen to your bill. You take what you paid for the year and you multiply it by 83%, and that's what you'd be getting the next year, if this went forward as it's proposed. So it's extraordinary effects on town government and on the ratepayers. And again, the ratepayers are the taxpayers, so the same people are getting it, not hit twice, but they're going to be paying it on the tax bill side. They're going to be paying it out of their own pockets in terms of the rates. So that's the presentation I had for you. A couple of points I'd make in this regard that I think you need to be aware of. I mean, people have said to me, well, it's a business and, it's, town government couldn't do it as well. I, out of curiosity, checked to see how the sewer department would line up with the water company. Because the sewer department, there's a similar type of operation, 100-year-old sewer system, many of the same kind of problems, built a new tertiary treatment plant, state-of-the-art plant 20 years ago, but some of it's been paid for. Now, if this went forward, the water company will have, over 4 years, would have received a 0%, 33%, 0%, 83%. That same 4-year period, each year, the sewer department has not increased its rates. They've had 0% increase in each one of those years. And over the years, the sewer department has had increases. Some years they've had no increase. Some years they've had, increases of 3, 4, 5, 9%, whatever it may be. But when you look at it compared to what the water company has been doing in recent years, it's incredible how expensive this has become compared to a similar operation for the town. So again, I think people need to have that in mind in terms of what's going on here for the future. So that's basically what I have for you, and I want to emphasize, obviously, to yourselves and to the public out there, that this is a big increase with a big effect.
Jerry, if you could talk for 1 second, because I know for the first time, I think, the Attorney General has intervened in this matter. What does that mean?
I think it's nothing but a positive from our perspective. Over the many years in the past, I've had discussions with the Attorney General's office about intervention, and they haven't done that because they view these as local matters. Other attorneys general view these as local matters, and they intervene, of course, in the statewide issues, the gas and the electric and the telephone. So they never intervened in these cases. Some new legislation was passed that more clearly allows them to intervene, and they obviously chose this case as the first one.
This is their first.
And I think for good reason. This is extraordinary. I'm not, again, we've been doing this for over 30 years, I have, and I'm aware of other communities because I have to look at other systems. I've never seen a rate increase sought to this level. I mean, there have been some big increases sought and granted over the years, but nothing I've ever seen like this. And again, we all know that there's a serious issue in terms of building a $20 million plant. So everybody knows there's going to be an increase, and it's going to be a significant increase. But this magnitude is beyond anything we've seen. And I think the Attorney General has an interest in making sure that that's done right. And it's obviously going to be of assistance. I know people on the Attorney General's staff. I've worked with them in other settings that'll be working on this case, and they're very, very good. So it can't be anything but a positive for us.
Let me turn it over to the board so we can get some questions. Dean?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Yeah, Jerry, I mean,
Yeah.
as we all know, it's certainly exorbitant. I mean, the person who, family of four, it's definitely gonna be, with all the other costs, I mean, it looks like, a lot of times health insurance costs, not in our community, but other communities. So, I think we've been through this probably 4 times in the past, and, you do an outstanding job in front of the DPU. We've always had consultants in the past. This particular time, we've hired, I think, the most foremost expert to assist us. What's the, for the people at home, the process, like, for example, there's a hearing here next Wednesday,
Right.
and then afterwards, what type of, I mean, they look at all the information, it has to be, data that's not made up, it has to be real numbers and all that. Can you tell everyone the process as we move forward?
Yeah, it's a very detailed process, and the first step always is the public hearing, which is always in the community. In this case, it'll be upstairs, as was done in the last few cases, which you recall. That is the first step. It's an important step. A lot of people think that the DPU, well, it's pro forma. They really don't care what people say, but they really do. They really pay attention. And the things that the DPU hears at that public hearing then come up in the course of the evidentiary hearings. That's the next step. After the public hearing, there'll be what they call evidentiary hearings in Boston, which will be extensive. It'll be more than one day. It'll be many, many sessions. And they'll be scheduled after the public hearing, and there'll be a long discovery process. We spend an enormous amount of time getting information from the water company, both us, the DPU staff, which are very much involved, now the Attorney General's office, will be hitting with the water company with an enormous amount of information requests, seeking all of their documentation, and a lot that we can't even anticipate right now till we see it as it develops. That's what'll go on for months, and then into the evidentiary proceedings. Quite detailed, and again, their goal ultimately is, back to that first slide, to establish a revenue deficiency. And there's hundreds and hundreds of factors that go into that in terms of their costs, their expenses, their rate of return. I've heard it said that it's a serious issue. I've heard it said in various settings that, well, they really won't make much of a profit on this, that this is really just to cover expenses. Well, they're seeking a rate of return. It's part of the whole process. The DPU establishes a rate of return they're allowed to earn on their equity. And the rate of return they're seeking is 11.5%.
So what is rate of return? Define that for us.
Well, it's the rate that they're allowed to, so whatever, if their rate base is $10 million, we'll say, and they're allowed to earn 11.5, you can do the math and figure out the amount that would be included in the rate as part of the ultimate revenue deficiency. So rate of return is a very important issue. Again, when I hear that said, that they really don't have much of a profit in here, I actually went and looked at the rate of return that I have on my bank book at the local bank, and it's just a little over 1/10% is what my rate of return is for my
So
investment.
is that what rate of return is, profit?
It's basically, yes, it's a component of the profit, yes,
I'm
yes.
sorry, Dean, I just wanted
No,
to
no,
get
no.
that.
But it's a big component, it's a big issue, and will be a big issue in this case.
And also, the legal fees will
Yes.
be borne by the,
Yeah, that's always a tough issue in these cases, because the harder we fight, in a sense, the more it can cost us, because all of their rate case expenses, which are fairly extraordinary, are part of the rate, and they get put in, they get what they call normalized, so if they spend $200,000 on rate case expense, which they'll probably spend more than that, they don't recover that all in this case, but they'll normalize it over a period of like 3 years, so you divide it by 3, and they'll recover 1/3 of it. But every dollar they spend will legitimately become part of the rate case, so that's always a difficult issue. We had one case in the 80s where, frankly, after all the fighting, the only thing they recovered was their rate case expense. But this is different. This is much, much bigger. And we all know that there are serious expenses in terms of the new facility that do have to be covered.
Jerry, in the last couple of years, have there been any precedents on what the DPU has done as far as rate increases by these companies?
There's never precedent per se. I mean, there are a lot of precedents we deal with on specific issues, but the settlements are ultimately a mathematical calculation after you fight all the separate issues about the proper rate of return, about the proper allowance for this item or that item. So there are hundreds of discrete issues, but there's no precedent in that sense. The one thing we do fight most about is that rate of return. That becomes important. Frankly, the DPU has been generous in other rate cases, in my view, in terms of rate of return. So we'll be trying to get them to even look at it more, with a little more clarity in terms of the realities of the economy right now. That may or may not have been the case in recent decisions, but we want them to factor the economy into this when they set that rate of return.
So now, Joe, besides our testimony, your expertise in testimony, the consultants we have, as Brian said, we also have the Attorney General. So with
Right.
that type of scrutiny, when they look at the facts and all that, the evidence, do you think it may make a difference?
Oh, I think it always makes a difference, yes. But please don't ask me where I think it will end up, because I don't have a clue. We still have an enormous amount of discovery to do, and I gotta find out all of the underlying basis for everything that they're proposing. But yes, of course, it always makes a difference. Do I think they're gonna get 83%? No. But that's about as far as I can go right now.
Okay, thank you. That's all, Brian.
Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jerry, there aren't a lot of businesses in Milford. As a matter of fact, there are no businesses in Milford that can petition the government for a guaranteed percentage of profit.
Absolutely true.
When you seek 11.5% profit and seek the government to protect you, to guarantee your profit, it puts additional hardship on the businesses. It makes them less competitive with surrounding communities. How important is it that those businesses be heard at this hearing?
Oh, it's vitally important that everybody that has a concern be heard. Again, as I said, the DPU literally takes these into consideration, and very strongly. And they want to hear from citizens, they want to hear from homeowners who are affected, and how they're affected, but they really want to hear from businesses too. So it's an important factor, a very important factor. And through the years, we've had these proceedings, and often 2 or 3 people show up. And the DPU takes note of that too. When nobody shows up, that sends them a certain message. And again, what I would encourage is anybody to come that they have something positive to say about the water company. This is an opportunity to come and, address their concerns in terms of the finances, in terms of the quality, in terms of the service, positive or negative. This is an opportunity that people have, and they can have an effect.
And just, I know they've kind of hid behind the whole concept of new regulations are forcing them to expend these dollars. Much like government and even private individuals, when they know they have a large expenditure, we put away. We did that for the painting of the town hall as an example. And I know with the DEP and the EPA, they don't put these regulations don't come out of the ozone. There are comment periods. Generally, the regulations are in place and proposed 5 years before they come out.
Sure.
So the planning that doesn't seem to be in place, I would hope would be a big part of our position and where those revenues went from previous years. Because, as you said, they were given a 33% increase by the DPU some 2 years ago. We talked a little bit about impact to businesses, but the hardship that it places on families is significant as well. And that graphic right there is pretty significant.
It certainly is.
I know that the board is sensitive, FinCom's sensitive. We put $1 million on our tax rate to try to reduce the burden. We don't go to the levy capacity of 2.5%, and then here the water company comes in looking for an 82% increase. So, one would hope that families are also represented and present at this hearing, because that I would say would be significant in terms of the DPU hearing from different families and the impact it would have on them.
Absolutely.
Okay. I appreciate the time you put into this, and thanks. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Jerry, the consultants that we're going to be hiring, we have, what was it, Dave Russell?
Dave Russell,
Who
yes.
deals with, I don't know if they're the technical,
Well,
but
he's
sort of
an
the
engineer,
management
he's got a
type.
good background on all aspects. He used to work with the DPU years ago. He's got a very good background and very well reputed in the field. So he deals with all aspects of these cases, but in particular, the company operations and the proper methods of operation.
So we'll have his expertise in reviewing the documents, and then also, you've retained, was it a Dr. Woolridge?
Yeah, J. Randall Woolridge out of
Woodridge,
Pennsylvania, who's
Yeah.
got a national reputation for his expertise, particularly on issues of cost of equity and rate of return. So he's going to be, I hope, particularly helpful to us in that regard.
Okay. And have these two individuals started working on this yet, or is it too early?
No, I believe they have started. They haven't started working with me, but they're working on their own background. I've provided Dave Russell with a lot of background, and
Yeah.
he's got background from the last two cases which he worked with me on. So he's doing his due diligence there, and probably what he's doing now is really preparing all the information requests that we need. And Professor Woolridge is working on his own in Pennsylvania, preparing, as he has in many other cases, to put together his testimony.
So, I mean, we all understand that the water company is working to make improvements to their infrastructure, and I think that that's something that all of us want. It's certainly overdue. But at the same time, it just seems inherently unfair to a degree that the large percentage of the cost of this infrastructure repair seems to just simply get passed on. And I don't know what the DPU would consider reasonable that the company has to bear in terms of its cost of infrastructure, as opposed to just passing it on 100% to the ratepayer.
Well, regrettably, part of the system is basically a pass-on of their actual real costs. The DPU itself doesn't have a lot of choice but to approve the costs that they can actually establish as being real, known and measurable, as they say in the trade. Once they're there, they're going to be approved. So that pass-through, that's the system that we live with, for better or for worse. Again, as I said to you many times, over the last 100 years, most communities have long ago taken over their water companies, and that system has gone by the boards. But here it is, that's still the system. The DPU regulations that they work under are 80 years old. I'm not saying they're antiquated, but that's how long these regulations and these systems have been in place to determine these rates.
So our job, in fact, is going to be to try to point out what truly is actual costs.
Actual costs, there'll be a lot of areas that will be disputed as to their validity, because a lot of this are projections. They use a test year, and their test year is effectively fiscal year 2012. But off of that test year, then they project changes that they call known and measurable, which are very real, because there are changes that take place, changes in taxes, changes like the plant itself wasn't there in the test year, but it will be there during the subsequent year, so that has to be factored in. So we'll spend a lot of time around those issues of whether things really are known and measurable, whether they're really going to happen, and when they're going to happen, and when the ratepayers should be effectively charged for those items. So there's a tremendous number of areas of dispute, sometimes over as little as $100, but still, everything has to be looked at.
And getting back to the rate of return, I mean, that in essence is the profit of the company. Does that filter down to the shareholders?
Frankly, that's an internal thing, and I don't know how that works, frankly. I really don't. It's not really an issue in the proceedings. This is the formalistic rate of return, and believe it or not, by regulation, which was established in the mid-'80s, they have a presumptive right to that 11.5%.
But I'm trying to determine, what does that mean, rate of return,
I-
11%? Where does the 11% go?
It's a return
Does
on
the company
their
hold
investment.
on to those funds?
They say, if you look at a recent press release, that they reinvested into the company. I don't know that.
Well, I would imagine that we'd be able to, get that information with the level of scrutiny that we're prepared to
We might end up
to
with that
offer.
information in the course of the proceedings, yeah.
Do you want to add something, Bill? or-
Yeah, I just have one more question, Jerry. I've been to the hearings before, but if you could just walk the general public through so that those that are watching and would like to attend would have a general understanding of how the proceeding goes.
Yeah, again, it'll be held upstairs. There'll probably be 3 or 4 representatives of the DPU. There's a hearing officer, an attorney, who will sort of chair the meeting. They have other staff people there, too. And they pretty quickly turn it over to the board, to the state representative and senator if they want to. They always go to the elected officials first for any input they have. And then they open up to the public, and everybody can speak. There's no cross-examination, there's no attorneys. You just come and say what's on your mind.
Okay.
And so there's no intimidation factor. These people are very friendly. They're very,
Yeah, it's formal, but it's informal.
it's formal, but yeah, it's formal that you have to walk up to a
Right.
microphone because they think they have a stenographer there that take it all down because they do look at this later on. So it seems formal in that respect, but it isn't. It's people can come and have their say, and they're not going to be interrupted, and they're going to be listened to.
So if they want to speak for 5 minutes or speak for 30 seconds, it's okay, and?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
Jerry, if a person, let's say, doesn't want to speak in front of the public and all that, can they, because we all have to sign it if you're going to speak, right?
Yep.
Can they present a written statement?
Oh, absolutely.
Instead of speaking?
Yes, they take they've already, written statements have already come in to the
Okay.
DPU, and they make those part of the
So
record.
the residents can also do that?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. All set? All set? Yeah.
Good.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry. We know that you've done a lot of work already, but you've got a lot more to do. And the next step in the process is the hearing for December 12th. So hopefully, folks that watch this meeting will now realize the impact of this proposal and will come out and voice their opinion to the DPU, which ultimately will decide the request. Good. Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jerry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
That concludes the public hearings. The next item that we have is the town administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, for the monthly financial update, again, I'm pleased to report that all budgets under the jurisdiction of the board are on target. I would, however, again like to advise the members that the Armory facility, which houses the Milford Youth Commission, remains problematic. On the heels of last month's expenditure of $3,700 for condensation pumps, last week the boiler room flooded, and the repair cost will approach $1,500 to $2,000. I naturally okayed the fixing of the problem. Can argue about the money, discuss the money at another date. It concerns me going forward is, again, this represents a significant amount and a significant portion of my maintenance budget, and we're not prepared for large expenditures for this building. No way am I saying that this is a problem created by the Milford Youth Commission. I want to make sure we understand that. It's the facility. The facility is very old, and things are going to happen. The majority of it is problematic, and it's probably something that should be addressed in an upcoming budget. I've talked to Sidney about it. I've told him to relay that information to his commission, and hopefully they'll be able to do something. But again, I just did want to point that out to you. The painting and masonry projects at the town hall have now both been completed, and in my mind, I'm more than satisfied. they both look good. And we're moving on to the next project, which is the window project for this building. And we're hoping to start that. We're also out for design selection committee on the police station roof, so we've started that process also. Our old nemesis, the issue of double poles. Mr. Bartolome, let me just pass these down. Last Thursday, I met with David Mullen, who had emailed, I believe, the chairman originally, and the chairman had turned it over to me, and I had spoken to him. Mr. Mullen is a former Verizon worker who lives in Marlborough, I believe, and he had this proposal for ridding towns of double poles. As I suspected, it was mainly a software program to track and identify double poles. The packet includes an outline of Mr. Mullen's town, Marlborough, a setup page with a status update, a report listing all double poles in the town, a utility notification report, again, a utility status report, and a remediation report. The proposed cost for a 3-year contract, which is standard, would be $20,000 in the first year for the initial field survey, and a maintenance fee of $8,300 in the second and third year. And again, I was impressed with Mr. Mullen more so than I am with the proposal, because again, I think the proposal reflects a software program that he's developed, but I still think it comes down to National Grid approving the necessary monies to remove the poles. And I asked if there was a guarantee, and he indicated that there was not. If the board has any interest in this program, I would be happy to arrange a meeting with Mr. Mullen for a proposal. Maybe you'll see something that I did not see. Maybe you'll have a different opinion, but again, I would be happy to do that. And finally, as the board knows, Carmen LeBron Sanchez, one of our longtime dedicated employees, has notified us of her retirement. Her last day of work will be January 4th, with her actual last date in February. And as she's a member of the Mace Union, I will be posting this position from December 10th to the 16th. Has to be done for 7 calendar days. If somebody from the union is interested, we'll deal with that. If not, then we can post it outside. And at the moment, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Dean, any questions, comments?
Yeah, Louis, on this particular proposal, so we're talking 36,000 over 3 years? 20, 83, and 83.
Yes.
I mean, this is the first we've seen this document, but I think the processes that we had before, you doing, working with the police chief and fire chief and ascertaining exactly what was, who had what on what pole, and putting the pressure on National Grid, and before that, the electric company. I think everything sounds wonderful, and there probably wouldn't be total redundancy on what we've done. There might be something that we haven't done or can't do, but if they really can't, not guarantee, but if they can't give us a good indication that by doing all this, we'll see some, desired results in a couple of years, I don't know, Mr. Chairman, Bill.
And the other thing, I would caution you to wait. He's meeting with Marlborough. He's told me that Marlborough is on the verge of contracting with him. Hasn't actually happened as of yet, but it appeared to be imminent. Perhaps you could track that for a while and see if there's any real progress there. Again, that's just my opinion. You gentlemen may see something differently in this.
Yeah, anything else, Dean?
Giving that, it might be, worthwhile if maybe, a subcommittee or yourself meeting with Louis and this individual to go over maybe some things that aren't written in the report to see if there's anything else that could be done. But I just think, whatever we do, it needs some teeth. The MMA has that legislation where where fines would be initiated, but who knows what's gonna happen with that legislation, so. But, I mean, if you look at, at one time, we had a real, full court press, and, whatever it was worth, they seem to be doing something to removing this, what Lewis is, constantly pounding them and asking them to do things and whatnot, so I don't know if it's worth it, $36,000 to do this, and to maybe do the same type of things that we've had, the reports, and then at the end of the day, we're in the same situation, so, but, I think maybe a face-to-face meeting might be beneficial.
Yeah, Bill?
Yeah, maybe I'm lost, and maybe it's my history and distorted view of the history that we've had with the National Grid on their polls. When we were staying after them, they got up to 170. They're up to over 280 now, and their last commitment was 30 poles removed. We said the last time we met, we said that was unacceptable, and at the rate of the increase in double poles, that there'd be more poles next year by them only removing 30. I don't think we need a software there. I don't think we need to create a contract. I don't think we need to do anything other than, and Mr. Chairman, I'd like to meet with the most senior members of National Grid that I can. I'd like to request that this board set up that meeting, that we go over the head of any of the individuals we've talked to thus far. They can buy all the programs they want. They've got hazards on our roads, hazards in our sidewalks. They're creating lines of sight issues, and the poles are going up, and all I hear is, and Lewis has done an amazing job just getting them on the phone. Sometimes their bureaucracy can be startling, but I think it's time we escalate, and we've been talking about it too long. So I'd like to set up a meeting with them, and I'd like to go to, if I can't go to the New England, the all New England manager, then I want to go to the most senior member that will meet here, and I would suggest that we invite our state representatives to be here as well, because I'm frustrated, and if that's showing, that's okay. We're not making progress. And they're not committing to anything. It's their failure to commit that I'm troubled by.
Lou, what's the most recent position that you've had with National Grid? What's the latest thing that's transpired with them?
Probably, and again, please don't hold me if I'm a day or two off, probably 7 or 10 days ago, I had requested from our new representative his boss's name and email address, because I tried to tell him nicely that the board was indeed frustrated, and it appeared that they were contemplating going over your head and requesting that that gentleman attend a future meeting. And a few days later, he did send me that information.
But I mean, has there been any commitment from them that they're gonna start taking down, or?
No,
Okay,
other than the 30 that they were committed to, again,
And have those 30 come down, do we know? or-
you know, I wouldn't even make that representation to you, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, did they give you a time frame for that 30?
I believe he said within a month.
Okay. Has there been any involvement with the other entities on the poll, Comcast, Verizon?
The last time I sent out a letter, and we emailed all of them. So they all know, and they all responded that Comcast responded, obviously the fire chief is there before anybody. Comcast and both Verizon responded that they'd be prepared when National Grid is ready to move.
All right. Yeah, I think if we were starting from ground zero and had absolutely nothing done, I think the service that this DPR offers would be a good one. But from the work that we've done over the last few years, and most recently, I mean, we're already there. I mean, we have what he could offer. We have an inventory of the vast majority of the poles. We know which entities are on the poles and which are not. So I don't know, that this service would be of particular help to us. I think, Bill's idea is as good as anything. Let's arrange a meeting. Let's arrange a meeting, I would say, with National Grid, Verizon, Comcast.
Invite them all.
Invite them all.
And I'd be inviting not our, well, I will invite our representative that I speak to, but I'm going after his boss. Is that correct?
I'm saying the most senior person that you can get at this meeting. And the people we've been dealing with, we're not getting sufficient answers from, we're not getting commitments from. If that person can't give commitments, then we need commitments from a more senior level manager. If it's the CEO of National Grid, I'm okay with that. That would be my preference to start there, by the way.
I'll try and get us somebody.
Yeah.
Let's
And
do it.
again,
And then-
my
With some-
frustration
with
is not
some
directed at
authority.
you, Louis.
No, we've been
Yeah, yeah.
we've been on this, we've spent more time and effort on this issue than anyone, I think, in my career.
And the
This is-
software that they're talking about, Louis, is frankly the software they need. We know, to Brian's point, we know where the double poles are. We're working hard on
Again,
it.
the inventory is not the issue. That's my point.
Right, exactly.
It's still the
It's
commitment
them-
from that, yes, we'll take them down.
We're
That's it.
not in dispute over the inventory. We've agreed on what the inventory is. We're working hard to make sure that our sidewalks and roads are clear. We're working hard to work with the Commission on Disability to make sure that people with special needs can navigate through our sidewalks, and with these double poles, they can't. It's even hard at intersections to look out. These are safety issues. And if there's anything that is not a priority from National Grid as it relates to safety for driving traffic and walking traffic, I don't know what should be a higher priority, but I think it's our responsibility to communicate that to their senior level managers and to look for legislation and strengthen legislation if we need to, because it's not working and the numbers are obviously going up.
And the MMA is just, which is obvious, as you know, is every local government in the Commonwealth, our organization that speaks for us and works for us, is upset with this issue as we bring bills every year that seem to get bounced back into committee, so the MMA.
Well, they've got a powerful lobbying group, and I would say that it's time that our legislators stood down the lobbying group's efforts and
I want to,
not necessarily our representatives, but the legislation.
yeah.
No, I will.
I mean, they gave us a copy of the statute, and I remember seeing it before. It says that existing poles need to be removed within 90 days of the date of installation of the new pole. But, the problem with this statute always has been, there's no teeth in it. There's no penalty if it doesn't happen. I'm wondering if we could file a civil action and seek an injunction based on this statute, getting a court order to enforce it civilly. I'll talk to Jerry about that, see if that's a feasibility. But in the meantime, let's set up a meeting.
Set up a meeting.
Get a meeting arranged with the providers. It's National Grid, Verizon, Comcast, and have a
Mr. Chairman.
representative from the fire department also.
Mr. Chairman, my only concern with having everybody that hangs on the pole there is that it's the owners of the pole's responsibility to coordinate with those. And so I want to make sure that the pressure we exert goes squarely on National Grid, who's collecting revenues from all those people that hang off their poles. It's their job to work with them.
Yeah, I understand that, but, that the other entities
All the money.
are involved, and, I know when we did have effectiveness, there was coordination with the different entities, to make that happen, because I know it's a tiered process in terms of who can remove from the pole when. So let's try to have Lou reach out to those individuals and see if we can get them on an agenda.
And Mr. Chairman, in order
Yeah.
to get these big shots, like we did with the storm water, you know, if it's a little bit easier for them to attend during the daytime, maybe we can accommodate them. I
Okay.
think the main thing is to have these people here, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, see what you can work on, Lou, and see what you can target to do that. Any other comments on Town Administrator's report? Dean, I don't know if you have anything else. Bill?
Nope.
Okay, let's move on to old business. We have our license renewals. Dean, if I could ask you to go through the automatic amusement renewals.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. The Automatic Amusement Italian-American Veterans, 4 Haywood Field, Milford Hotel Group LLC, 11 Beaver Street, Papagino's, 42 Cape Road, Galway Milford, 68 Water Street, Club Portuguese, 119 Prospect Heights, Milford Sports Club Incorporated, 340 East Main Street, Powerless Incorporated, 284 West Street, Royal Buddha, 121 Depot Street, Fun Zone of Milford LLC, 110 South Main Street, TGI Fridays, 240 Fortune Boulevard, Scioli Corporation, 146 South Main Street.
Motion made and seconded to approve renewal of the automatic amusement license as read. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Bill, if I could ask you to go through auctioneer, boarding, and Class 1.
Okay. Friends Auctions, 4 Congress Street. Watson Auctions, 4 Congress Street. For boarding, John D. Mahaney, 40 Jefferson Street. Milford Development Realty Trust, 38 Spring Street. Russet Rentals LLC, 22 Congress Street. Russet Rentals LLC, 5153 Exchange Street. For the Class 1s, Danvers T. Third Inc., 300 Fortune Boulevard. Imperial Municipal Partners, Inc., 154 East Main Street. Milford Nissan Corporation, 320 East Main Street. Southworth Milton, Inc., 100 Quarry Drive. Southworth Milton, Inc., 179 Fortune Drive, or Fortune Boulevard, rather. Southworth Milton, Inc., 330 East Main Street.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and seconded to renew the auctioneer, boarding, and Class 1 licenses as previous read. All in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Dean, if I could ask you to go through the Class 2 and Class 3.
Sure. 1685 Automotive Service LLC, 2-4 Cedar Street, A&S Detailing and Auto Sales, 232 West Street, AP Enterprises Incorporated, Tony's Auto Service, 60 West Street, Accurate Auto Care LLC, 193 East Main Street, Stephen and Tinarelli, doing business as Plains Automotive, 293 West Street, Variety Automotive Incorporated, 233 East Main Street, Michael Bonnell, doing business as Bob's Motor Workshop, 49 East Main Street, Bradley K., doing business as Arts Auto Service, 93 Cedar Street, Compost Auto Detailing and Accessories, 3 Beach Street, and Antonio Corporation, doing business as Dan's Auto Body, 457 East Main Street, Dale Commission, doing business as Auto Connection, 99101 East Main Street, Dunbar's Incorporated, 70 Haven Street, Jose Concals, doing business as Jack's Auto Sales, 59 East Main Street, Danvers T. the Third Incorporated, 300 Fortune Boulevard, Farfama Auto Sales Incorporated, 13 Cape Road, Friendly Car Wash LLC, 39 Green Street, Mark's Auto Sales LLC, 51 East Main Street, Mark Rizzoli Auto Village, 227 East Main Street, Nixon Aguilar, 63 Central Street, Parat Abiramia, 187 West Street, Mainline Garage, 170 East Main Street, Milford Auto Repair Incorporated, 61 Main Street, Milford Collision, 36 Main Street, Guerra Enterprises, doing business as Milford Getty, 80 Prospect Street, Abraham Hanna Rajay, doing business as Mobico Auto Service, 234 West Street, Nero Auto Body and Used Car Sales, 196 West Street, Old Time Auto Sales, 294 West Street, Sprint Lube and Repair LLC, 81 Prospect Street, Star Car Rental Incorporated, 206 East Main Street, Santos Garage Incorporated, Luis Santos, 12 South Free Street, South Free Auto Body Incorporated, 14 South Free Street, and a Class 3 Bradley K. doing business as Arts Auto Service, 93 Cedar Street.
Motion made and seconded to approve the Class 2 and Class 3 licenses as read. All in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous. Bill, if I could ask you to go through the common victular licenses?
AJR Associates doing business as Bronx Bagel at 196 East Main Street, Adirondack Smokehouse Deli, 134 South Main Street, Annie Nairoos doing business as Bill's Pizza, 126 Main Street, Burger King Corporation, 22 Beaver Street, Charlie's Express Pizza, 40 Spruce Street, Chung Inc., 93 Water Street, D&T Donut Shop, 118 Prospect Street, D&T Donut Shop, 140 South Main Street, Dullops Inc., 196 East Main Street, Dullops Inc., 183 South Main Street, Dunkin' Donuts, 350 East Main Street, Dunkin' Donuts, 31 Main Street, Dunkin' Donuts, 146 South Main Street, Dunkin' Donuts, 35 Midway Road, Sodexo Operations LLC at EMCU, 31 Maple Street, 5 Olson's Milford Plains LLC doing business as Five Guys, 9 Medway Road, Friendly's, 17 Medway Road, Garden Pizza, 92 Prospect Street, Garden Restaurant, 156 West Street, JR's Diner, 206 East Main Street, Kentucky Fried Chicken, 15 Medway Road, Sodexo at Milford Whitensville Regional Hospital, 14 Prospect Street, Great Taste Restaurant, 201 Main Street, Wing Hao Inc., doing businesses Hunan Gourmet, 130 Main Street, Eldred's Kitchen and Catering Corporation, 178 East Main Street, Lameka Inc., doing business Ray and Dick's, 20 Exchange Street, McDonald's, 139 South Main Street, McDonald's, 143 Medway Road, Papyrus Inc., Dairy Queen, Dairy Queen Grill and Chill, 190 West Street, Milford Pizza Place or Palace, 8 Beach Street, Badera Brazil Bakery, 173 Main Street, Panera LLC doing business as Panera Bread, 91 Medway Road, Papagino's, 42 Cape Road, Papagino's, 91 Medway Road, Pizza 85, 130 Cedar Street, Pizza Chef, 179, 181 Main Street, Rose's Villa, 189 West Street, Units 1 and 2, Sodexo USA at Waters Corporation, 34 Maple Street, Sodexo at Waters, 5 Technology Drive, SDM Corporation, doing business as Sabor Dominis, 122 East Main Street, Sabor Latino, 126 Main Street, Subway, number 47555, 94 Prospect Street, MPHH Inc., doing business as Subway, 9F Medway Road, CTG Enterprises Inc., Sal's, 206 East Main Street, Tony's Place Fine Dining Inc., 283 Main Street, Wendy's Old Fashioned Hamburgers, 128 Cedar Street, Eva's Restaurant and Pizzeria, 55 Water Street.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and seconded to approve the common victual licenses as read. All in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Dean, if you can go the common victual all alcoholic.
Sure, 99 West Street Incorporated, 196B East Main Street, Din Din Restaurant, doing business as Pepperoncinis, 201 East Main Street, Powerless Incorporated, 284 West Street, Applebee's New England, 91 Medway Road, Briarwood Restaurants LLC, 55 Medway Road, Nightlight Lounge Incorporated, 31 Central Street, Galway Milford Incorporated, doing business as TD's Pub, 68 Water Street, Club Portuguese, ENR, 119 Prospect Heights, James Todd Crivello, 45 Depot Street, Scioli Corporation, 146 South Main, El Taco Incorporated, 231 East Main Street, Capital BC Restaurant LLC, Bugaboo, 124 Medway Road, Lynn Chris Hotel Corporation, 11 Beaver Street, Fun Zone Milford LLC, DBA Pins, 110 South Main Street, The Crystal Room Corporation, 49 Cedar Street, Prezzo Grill and Bar Incorporated, 229.5 East Main Street, TGI Fridays Incorporated, 240 Fortune Boulevard, Mario Topuzzi and Vasil Izdildaki, 220 Main Street, Mango Thai Cuisine Incorporated, 9 Medway Road, Courtyard Management Corporation, 10 Fortune Boulevard, Milford Mandarin Restaurant Incorporated, 196 East Main Street, Natalia Marks, 113 Central Street, Richard's Food and Drink, 67 Medway Road, Royal Buddha Incorporated, 121 Depot Street, Turtle Tavern Incorporated, 72 Main Street, Two Metals LLC, DBA 89 Main Street, Milford Sports Club Incorporated, 340 East Main Street, Cafe Sorrento Incorporated, 143 Central Street, Top of the Court Incorporated, 189 Main Street, Imperial Buffet Incorporated, 350 East Main Street, Truffles Grill and Wine Bar, 198 East Main Street, Marcagiano Club Incorporated, 60 Mead Street, Hoboken Citizens Club Incorporated, 252 Central Street, the Italian American World War Vets of U.S. Incorporated, 4 Haywood Field.
Motion made and seconded to approve the common victular all alcoholic licenses as read. All in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Bill, if I could ask you to do common victular wine and malt, common victular wine and malt with cordials, and entertainment.
Okay, for the common victular wine and malt, Easy Mart LLC, 335 and a half Main Street, Thavachi Vitunia, doing business as Thai Pepper, 178 East Main Street, LJJ Inc., doing business as Gourmet Pizza, 196 East Main Street, common victular wine and malt with cordials. You want to just hold off or just do them all?
Keep on going.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep the
Hawaii
momentum.
Inc., doing business as Casa Brazil, 112 Main Street, KH and Company LLC, 194 West Street. For entertainment, Applebee's Neighborhood Bar and Grill, 91 Medway Road, Briarwood Restaurants LLC, doing business as The Alamo, 55 Medway Road, Cafe Sorrento, 143 Central Street, Club Portuguese, 119 Prospect Street, The Crystal Room Corporation, 49 Cedar Street, Milford Sports Club, Inc., 340 East Main Street, Milford Hotel Group, LLC, 11 Beaver Street, Nightlight Lounge, 31 Central Street, Peppercini's Pizzeria and Grill, 201 East Main Street, Powerless, Inc., 284 West Street, Fun Zone of Milford, LLC, doing business as Pins, 110 South Main Street, Royal Buddha, Inc., 121 Depot Street, Scioli Corporation, 146 South Main Street, Top of the Court, Inc., 189 Main Street, Turtle Tavern, 72 Main Street, Richard's Food and Drink, 67 Medway Road.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the common victular wine and malt restaurant, common victular wine and malt with cordials, and entertainment licenses as read. All in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Dean, bring us
Chairman, yeah.
home with the retail package all alcoholic and the retail package wine and malt.
Okay. Retail package, Gara Marketing Incorporated, doing business as Back Package, 96 Prospect Street. CL Burnham Incorporated, DBA West Street Liquors, 61 West Street. Thomas A. Hickey Incorporated, 396 East Main Street. Johnson LLC, DBA Countryside Liquors, 170 Central Street. Bapano Corporation, doing business as Milford Package Store Incorporated, 270 Main Street. Gen Jess Corporation, Milford Liquors, 9 Midway Road, Unit 5. Paul Murphy, 134 South Main Street, Package Wine and Malt. John J. LeBlanc, doing business as Jeans, 80 Water Street. Contemporary Concepts Incorporated, 134 Cedar Street. A&A Fuel Incorporated, 340 Medway Road. Trush Kush Corporation, 315 Main Street. Tanglewood Drive, LLC, 89 Purchase Street. 75 Purchase Street Corporation, 75 Purchase Street. Mutai Trans Cedar Street Market, 100 East Main Street. Adonis Incorporated Quick Mart, 58 South Main Street. James G. Guido, 194 West Street. Jose and Teresa Sequeira, 34A Main Street. Tyco Incorporated, DBA Casanova Market, 102 Central Street.
Motion made and seconded to approve the retail package all alcoholic and retail package wine and malt licenses as read. All in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Lou, you've got a sheet here, changes requested for the 2013 licenses. Milford Repair, Inc., changing name to DLNR Enterprises. Do you need action on this, or is this just a note that they need to do that?
Actually, just wanted to inform you, we don't need a vote.
Okay,
And the other thing, the two licensees need a change of manager. Both have managers that passed away. Both licensees have been given packets to schedule
okay,
that change.
okay. So we'll wait for them to submit those applications. Okay, Bill, do you want to read the list for the establishment application for extension of serving hours on New Year's Eve?
Sure. The Alamo, 55 Medway Road, Cafe Sorrento, 142 Central Street, Dock Sport Bar, 340 East Main Street, Doubletree Hotel, 11 Beaver Street, Fun Zone Milford LLC, doing business as Pins, 110 South Main Street, Marcagiano Club, Inc., 62 Beaver Street, Milford Mandarin Restaurant, Inc., 196 East Main Street, Milford Portuguese Club, 119 Prospect Heights, Richard's Food and Drink, 67 Medway Road, TGI Fridays, 240 Fortune Boulevard, Truffles Grill and Wine Bar, 198 East Main Street.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and seconded to approve the applications for extension of serving hours on New Year's Eve as read. All in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. We also received, as part of this, a report from the tax collector in terms of some back tax bills from a number of license holders. And I had occasion to look at our town bylaw, Article 26, that deals with tax payments as a license, et cetera, and condition. If we wanted to follow the bylaw, we would have to send notice to license holders who have taxes in arrears at least for a 12-month period, and 14-day notice to schedule a hearing to then have them before us and ask them to show cause why we may not deny, revoke, or suspend the license. It's significant, I think, to point out that the bylaw does have a mandatory obligation upon our board and the parties that they will be given an opportunity to enter into a payment agreement. So given that, some of these license holders, the numbers are quite large. The bills have gone on for some time. It would be my recommendation to adhere to the bylaw and send notice out to the appropriate license holders to schedule meetings. Obviously, we want to try to work with the businesses as much as we can. We're very cognizant of the economic times, but at the same time, it's not fair to businesses that are paying their taxes on time. And I think we'd like to give any business every opportunity to enter into a set and binding repayment agreement with the town. So let me just toss that out.
Yeah, sure, Mr. Chairman.
Bill?
Yeah, I think many of the ones we're talking about on this list have late fees and liens associated with from multiple quarters in past years, so I'm okay with that.
Also, Mr.
Setting
I'm
the
sorry, Bill.
the hearing date.
Also, Mr. Chairman, we've been going through this for 20 years back, and it's the same, I know times are tough and all that, but some of these individuals do it all the time, so it's just like you said, it's in fairness to the people who pay, or Mr. Solazzi is always sending out letters, reminders. I mean, in the past, it's always been like the last minute, 11th hour, where someone comes in. I mean, there's no need for that. If they have a problem, they can come in, they can talk to the town officials, and most of the times we can come up with some type of plan that satisfies both requirements. So it's just an unfortunate situation, but do you want to pick a date?
Well, do we want to set it
Sure.
for a hearing date in January of one of our regular meetings?
Yeah.
Do it.
That,
for-
or is it that, is that,
I don't want to do
Two-
anything before the holidays.
Yeah.
You know, wish we'd do it the first meeting, which would be January 7th. That'll give us
Okay,
time
sure.
to...
Sure.
Do it in the first
Yeah.
meeting in January?
Sure.
But that's obviously more than enough time under the
Sure, yeah,
notice
right.
requirements.
And-
Okay.
And they can, Mr. Chairman, as you said, once the letters go out, they can come in, and so hopefully, there'll
Absolutely.
be less and less people.
Right, right.
Companies
And-
coming in.
And I think that, they're really, I mean, in terms of the payment agreement, and I don't, presuppose as to what the tax collector wants to do, but I think it has to be in writing, it has to be firm. But particularly for some of these license holders where it has gone on for quite some time. But, so Lou, if you could go through the list and pick out the ones that qualify under the bylaw, send out the notice, and we'll have that on for our meeting for January 7th.
And just thinking ahead, Mr. Chairman, if parties from those businesses come in and represent that agreement has been struck, I wonder if we could send a message to Paula asking for those agreements that she structures with them to be in writing and to be available to the board for that hearing.
Sure.
Okay. The next item that we have is correspondence from Lou regarding the proposed platform on Louisa Lake. And apparently, Mike Nicholson has been in contact with an individual or individuals who would be willing to donate $15,000 to cover the engineering services to design and permit the proposed platform based on the proposal that our town engineer had put forth. I also asked Lou to put in the package correspondence that Mike Santora had given us back in April when he talked about what would be required to increase the parking expansion at Louisa Lake. And I think the cost between both projects are fairly similar, about $170,000 to $200,000. I think it's wonderful that we have a donation to be able to start the engineering process on the fishing platform, but I'm just concerned that if that project goes forward, it competes with the parking expansion for town funds. And, I mean, in terms of priority, I would prefer to see the parking expansion project pursued first, as opposed to the fishing platform. So I brought him here for the board so that we can talk about it and see what direction we want to take. Dean?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think as far as safety, as a matter of fact, I think I brought it up several months ago about the Louisa Lake parking. It's become a safety situation, and so, yeah, I can see that we make this the recommendation. And then with the other proposal, and it's really, really nice that someone's come forward and wants to help out, and I think we can work with the Commission on Disability moving forward after the first of the year and trying to come up with something, and but I think it's commendable that someone wants to try to help out with the engineering, but I agree with going with Louisa Lake parking expansion first.
Yeah, Bill?
Yeah, I'm okay with dealing with the immediate safety issue right now and then looking to see when we can bring in the platform at a later date.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we send notice to the Capital Improvement Committee and also the Finance Committee that would like to get the parking expansion project on their radar screen and on their list, so that as funding becomes available, we can fit it in. And at the same time indicate to Mike Santora and Mike Nicholson that while we certainly support the project, at this particular time would like to hold it in abeyance until we can go forth and get the parking expansion completed.
Okay.
Okay? Do you have any old business, Dean?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Bill?
No old business, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, under new business, we have a request from Reach the Beach Relay for a relay race to run through town, 7:45 PM and 2:15 AM, May 17th and May 18th.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motion made. Is there a second?
Yeah, see if I could better understand. This is a request for a Friday night
Yeah, it's an annual request. I did call the police chief. He said they had absolutely no problem with this. He'll take care of it.
They sent us the memo in code, I don't know if you.
Yeah. Some of it I didn't,
Matter of fact, they put your names in, you're running, by the way.
Japanese, though.
Is that what it is? It looked like hieroglyphics.
Well,
I'd have to get my decoder ring out to
it's
figure
half
this
and
one out.
half.
Captain Crunch decoder.
Yes.
Okay, so Chiefs approved, we've done this before.
Yeah, we do it every
Just,
year.
when you look at the dates, that's one of them, the 17th is a Friday night.
Yep.
But if the Chiefs go with it, and we've done it before and been able to manage it, I'm in favor.
Okay, motion made, seconded, all in favor, any opposed, that's unanimous. We have a request from Jameson Mendel Tree Removal to sell Christmas trees, 235 East Main Street in Milford.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Motion made and seconded, any discussion, if not, all in favor, any opposed, that's unanimous. We received correspondence from an attorney, Walter Sullivan, wanting to know whether or not, well, he apparently has a client who is interested in developing a slot parlor in Milford, but is interested first in determining if the town is interested in a slot parlor and where it would like to see it located. He's looking for a response as to whether or not there's any interest on this. My take on it would be, number one, we have a memorandum of understanding that runs through December 31st with Mr. Nunes, and as part of that, there is a exclusivity clause requiring us not to deal with any type of gaming facility other than his own. But beyond that, and now that legislation and the regulations have gelled, it would be apparent to me that this individual would be in the same position as any applicant and would have to go forward with state pre-approval by January 15th. And my inclination would be simply to indicate that if in fact he's interested in doing this, just simply go to the state and receive pre-approval and then see where it goes from there. But
Absolutely.
I don't know, yeah.
No,
Any
I
thoughts on that?
think you and Lois did a good job on Friday summarizing exactly those comments and what the situation is, so I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah. Bill?
Yeah, I'm okay with that response, sending him back to the state. I'm interested in more slot parlors in Milford as a casino, but state's where it starts, and
That's
see
the
where it
next
takes
step
us.
for anything to happen, so if they want to do it, fine. But right now, there's nothing for us to do on it. Do you have any new business?
Mr. Chairman, yesterday I was up, I watched the parade, and every year the firefighters do an outstanding job. The amount of work that's done, I think they start planning for it right after the first of the year, but, I mean, the students, the bands, all the participants, the floats, the fire trucks from all over central Mass, and they just do a really remarkable job with thousands of people uptown, and I think it really kicks off the holiday Christmas season. And I think that Teddy DiPaolo and all the other individuals who help him should be commended, and I know we try to do that every year, but it's just very nice, and hopefully it keeps going, but, and hopefully we can send a letter to Teddy and whoever the other individuals were who helped organize for our appreciation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if we can send a letter of thanks to them, we'll. Bill, do you have anything that you wanted to add under new business?
no.
Okay. Lou, is this something you want me to bring up under new business?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, as I told you, this was put, I got it when I came in yesterday morning, so it must have been put in late Friday, and it was a request, well, you can see it's a request by the Board of Assessors for a translation stipend, and they're asking that the Board of Selectmen first authorize this. I was fortunate to finally track down Phyllis this afternoon. She had returned. I didn't think she should, and I just got some clarity on this. Priscilla wasn't in today, so I couldn't check with her. The position of translator has been approved by by the Personnel Board. Now, having done that, they just approve the position, and they usually approve a job description, a copy of which I requested from Phyllis, and she said she would get that to me as soon as possible. What they don't do is approve offices having translators. That would be up to you folks if you wanted to approve one. We currently have 2 translators in the town hall. What the assessors need for this, they need the approval of the Board of Selectmen in Mace, because it has to be bargained as it's increasing a union member's pay. So if you're so inclined, you would have to enter into bargaining with Mace for this position, and then if the Board of Assessors wanted to go forward with it, it would have to come from their budget, and that's the way I understand it.
This person reports to the Board of Assessors.
He works for the board.
And has Jerry looked over the town accountant's recommendation here for this vote?
Has Jerry looked over what
Seems to
bill?
be born out of a bargaining
This has not
position.
been bargained.
I understand.
It has to. It has to be bargained.
Right, it's just
What am I missing?
odd to have a vote of the Board of Selectmen for somebody who reports to the Board of Assessors in the Assessor's office. If there's a bargaining impact, I just expect to see the memo from Jerry and not necessarily from the town accountant.
Well, you got it from the town accountant, because they brought it, the Board of Assessors brought it to the town accountant thinking it was a fait accompli. And the town accountant said, no, we can't do this. My office cannot authorize it, I mean, his office. And he sent it back and checked with Jerry, and Jerry confirmed it.
Okay. That's what I was looking for.
Is that clear? Bill?
Well, I mean, what, you're saying it's Article 2.
It's an Article 2 position, yes. In fact, it's under miscellaneous positions, foreign language translator.
Oh, so how is that? How is that, how is that with the union if it's Article 2?
Again, anytime you increase a union member's pay, has to be bargained. And again, that, from what I understand, that's not gonna be difficult, but there's a process that has to be done, according to Jerry.
But if it's a union member, why is it Article 2? I don't really understand this. There's, and not that it's, a large issue, but I don't understand the correlation between Article 2 and the union issue.
I got it, the first individual
yeah.
was Carmen, and she had to be approved, the same way as this process. The second person was Liz in our office. She's an Article 2 employee. She did not have to get that approved because she was an Article 2 employee. But when you're a Mace employee, according to Jerry, it has to be bargained.
So Louis, we have different, you said that we have 2 interpreters?
Yes.
So we have, like, it sounds like, okay, so, this is in that 2, or is this excluding the 2 that we have?
This would be the third one.
Oh. Does every office have an interpreter?
It'll be heading that way.
I mean, I can see, I think it's important to have people who can speak different languages when the residents come in and go to the assessor's office or our office or the tax collector, but I don't know if we need this type of stipend for everybody in every office.
Especially if we're putting it into job descriptions on the hiring side.
I
We
mean,
wouldn't need to do
yeah.
that.
I mean, I don't see why we can't have 1 or 2 people in town hall, and then when that occasion arises, then they're called and they do the translation, whether it be, Portuguese, Hispanic, Ecuadorian, whatever the case may be,
Well, I'd like to get some more information on this. I don't really understand the correlation
I'll get you an
between the
advice.
collective
I'd be happy to
bargaining.
get you one from Jerry. That be okay?
Yeah, but also, I think towards Dean's point, I mean, you know, I think we have to look at the broader use. I mean, you know, we could be doing this every meeting, you know, with some.
Every office.
So I think we have to take a broader look at at how this is operating in town hall, but, you know, I mean, I don't want to act on this tonight, just having this letter in front of me
Right.
now. You know, that's not going to happen. So let's get some more information on that, and we'll put it on for another meeting. It's not a tremendous amount of money. They're talking about FY13, and we still have about 6-7 months to go in that year, so we'll see what we can do on that. But let's get some more information on that. I think there's too many questions.
Yeah, and I would have asked the question earlier had it been part of the packet and everything.
New business. Did you have any new business, Dean? Or-
No, just the parade, Mr. Chairman, that's all.
You did.
Yeah, okay, you're all set. Oh, no, we have another item of correspondence from the Historical Commission. Lynn Lovell actually contacted me and said that they need or they believe that they need to have an alarm system at Memorial Hall. They're storing a lot of artifacts and other things that folks might think have monetary value. I don't know that they do, but they're certainly irreplaceable if something happened. And, you know, I thought that the cost was certainly reasonable, $1,300 for that installation. And I would hate to see what happened there, what happened at Town Hall. And I think it's the type of place where we should get this put into place, and so we'll know that the artifacts are safe. Dean?
Sure.
Yeah.
What exactly is the request?
They're looking for a funding request for $1,300, $1,340 to install the alarm system, and then I believe it's a maintenance beyond that of $250 per year.
And is that because
Monitoring.
they don't have the budget for this?
They don't have the budget. They have a cultural budget, they have a historical budget, but it's not a building maintenance budget. This comes under our responsibility in terms of maintaining the structure of the building.
Yeah, the only struggle I have with this is we just got done with town meeting, right? And all the budgets are set for the year. Some of the stuff seems to pop out of the ozone just after we get through with town meeting. So is it their request that this process start in the next fiscal year, or that we look to fund this out of, what, extra money that somebody has?
Well, should probably want to take
Do
it.
we have extra money?
Well, a building maintenance account to the tune of $1,300. I mean, I think it's short money to maybe prevent, you know, something that could happen.
Yeah, I'm just
some
wondering,
things that-
in our budgeting process, what are we foregoing for the $1,300, or we just assume it's excess? Is there something we're foregoing after?
Well,
town
there's a
meeting?
general, I
Right,
mean,
right.
there's a general building maintenance fund, which, you know, I mean, I think that this number is certainly small enough that it could be incorporated in that.
Yeah, I'm just, I guess maybe I'm concerned with the excesses that we just heard about from the youth center and that building maintenance fund, and so I'm not looking at it as a lot of money, I'm just not thinking there's extra money hanging around as soon as we finish off a town meeting in order to pay these, especially when we get the notice that we're getting hit with some excess unanticipated costs for building maintenance. So I don't know, maybe we just need a status on the budget and how easily we can incorporate this into the budget.
Well, I mean, like I said, you know, for $1,300, I would imagine that it can be handled within the building maintenance fund. It's an obligation of the town to maintain the building. They're telling us that they, you know, think a security system is a good idea with some of the items that they have stored there. I don't really dispute it, and I think it's certainly a reasonable number to try to protect what we have.
Louis, what do they have, two entrances or three? Memorial Hall, how many entrances do they have? The front doors and then the ramp area?
Because I wouldn't,
I'm not 100% sure of that, to
Right.
be honest with you, whether it's 2 or 3. It's at least 2.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, to me, you know, I mean, I wouldn't want to have the place broken into, some of the things ruined, you know, but for the fact that we didn't have the alarm system. Why they didn't submit it to us sooner, I don't know. All I know is I talked to her when.
Annual needs
When I
need to
did.
come up in the budget process.
I talked to her
right?
when I did. I mean, you know, these are, you know, volunteers that we're talking about. They, you know, things come up, I guess, as they see things come up, and I asked her to send me a letter and
Sure.
would address it.
Yeah, no, I'm not adverse to making sure our buildings are secure, it's just, so I don't know, what's the status of the budget, and how easily do we think we can incorporate the $1,300, given the youth center stuff, Louis?
Again, I have no dispute with, an alarm system at the
Yeah.
Memorial School, Memorial Hall. I'm getting a little concerned about the maintenance budget. We've got money elsewhere. I'm not crying poverty, but not particularly there. How about if I look into it and get back to the board at the next meeting on that? That'd be all right?
Good, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
that's fine. Under correspondence, we have the quarterly list from the police chief in terms of license established activity. Keep in mind that this only covers from October 1 on. The previous dates we had already been provided. There's nothing here that jumped out at me as particularly alarming from that date going forward. I sort of felt bad for the unwanted person from the Doubletree Hotel, then to
Yeah.
Applebee's to be removed, then Maria's Restaurant. Nobody wanted the guy. But that was on October 26th. But beyond that, there was nothing serious that I found. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Do you know, Bill?
No, these are the types of things I'd expect to get worked out between the police and the establishments, and, you know, any concerns we've had throughout the year, we've talked about, so.
I know we've talked about McDonald's in the past, Mr. Chairman. I think we've all tried to address that. But, you know, when you have 24 hours a day, and you have, because if you look at some of these violations or the incidents, it's always, it seems to be like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And I just think, you know, we voted for that in the past, to be open, but I just think that, a lot of times you're asking for trouble when you're open 24 hours a day, and hopefully, you know, one of these days, I hope nothing really happens that is serious, but, you know, you have, 3 o'clock, I mean, I think it was sold on the basis that, I think it was for truck drivers who are going through town and working or whatever, so I think it's gone past the truck driver thing, so I just think that, we should ask the chief to, make sure they understand, because just because they have a 24-hour thing, it doesn't mean that it always has to be that,
Right, right.
so.
Moving on, we received notification from the Mace Association that they have voted to become members of the Laborers International Union of North America, with Paul Coffey as their representative. The Planning Board, we see a proposed zoning bylaw change to define a medical marijuana treatment center and also limit the activity throughout the town, except for the two industrial IB and IC zones, and I believe also make it subject to acquiring a special permit. So, is there anything you want to change to this bylaw? Just get it to Lou, and he can pass it on to Larry Duncan, but we can go forward on that with the public hearings. Yeah.
And I think that incorporates what we said at the last meeting.
Board does have input or recommendations. Get it in quickly, please. The planning board has scheduled a meeting on December 11th for this.
Oh, okay.
According to Larry, if they can get it scheduled that night, this would negate the need for a special town meeting for this law to be incorporated, because I guess the clock starts running once it's approved at a planning board meeting, so. If
Okay.
you got anything, if you can get it in before the meeting.
Okay, so if there's anything you have on that, just get it into Lou.
Yeah,
Before that.
basically, this is Jerry's recommendation, right?
Right.
This draft.
Right.
Well, I think Jerry had input, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think it came from the town planner.
Oh, okay.
Came from Larry clears it, Jerry
Yeah.
gives his input and makes
So
his
it
changes.
has some of the things, just for the benefit of somebody who doesn't have it in front of them, some of the things that I was concerned about when we talk about near schools, place of worship, church parking, playgrounds, youth centers, that type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like a very well thought out and drafted bylaw, so I think that'll be fine. Other correspondence, we received youth commission minutes. I don't know if, Lou, you got a chance to look into that issue I talked to you about.
I did, and again, I
program coordinator job.
called for clarification. They indicated that they didn't make a change, it was the wording of the motion. So, again, I called Phyllis and asked her to send me the actual, if there was any changes. She believes there was none, so I'll confirm that with her. Otherwise, I'll let you know at our next meeting.
Okay, I had asked Lou to look into, there was a motion indicating that there was action taken by the Youth Commission to amend the program coordinator job, making it full-time as opposed to part-time, and I'm not sure if that needed personnel board approval or not. So I'd asked Lou to look into that, just to make sure that that was done properly. We also received the sanitary survey from DEP for the Milford Water Company dated November 23rd, 2012. And that includes all of our items. We have an executive session tonight for town council contract proposal, as well as discussion regarding pending litigation.
Motion, Mr. Chairman, for
Motion
executive
made
session.
and seconded to go in executive session. Roll call vote.
Aye, Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
I too vote in the affirmative. Thank you, good night. We will not be returning to open session.